great honor. First of all, I'm going to be very embarrassed if Dan looks over my shoulder and sees that I actually have to put some writing points. Here. One of our major initiatives is to focus primarily on diversifying the economy of Miami, and given the fact that this city is really known for creativity and originality and really all of the ingredients that are required for innovation and startup activity, it's become one of our core areas of focus. The city's really undergone a transition where it's known for some in the fun and going out to nightclubs and all of that. Just looking around here, I can see that that's still the case in some instances. But we've also become known for being a launchpad for great companies. And so when we take a look at what's the closest analog to the really ultra-competitive nature of the startup environment, we can also frequently draw inspiration from professional sports, and especially professional athletes, who of course live and die in the ultra-competitive environment of professional sports. And so we're delighted to have this type of discussion today to hear about their experiences transitioning from the world of professional athletics to startup. For transitioning, I would also like to acknowledge our co-sponsors here, 500 Startups, IBM TV, ESCP plus Collateral Group, and of course the Philip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science. We're very honored to have Dan Batard here and to host this session today. One of Miami's favorite sons. Dan, of course, is famously known as a newspaper sports writer, radio host, and television reporter, and of course best known for his work with not only the Miami Herald, but of course for ESPN, which is constantly playing in our shared workspace. So it is an honor to make this introduction. So for sports fans and non-sports fans alike, it's a real pleasure, and we're really happy to have you here. So thanks again for participating and hosting.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. For those of you who do not know, I do a television show with my father. I'm a very Miami guy, but not quite so Miami that I don't need the loud Latin cartoon next to me to sort of give off more Miami than that. These guys I want to introduce you to here because I'm a proud Miami son, and I'm happy that anyone is investing in the idea of what's going on down here and in Florida. So I would start by telling you that this gentleman here, I'm not going to let them brag about their athletic accomplishments, but I will tell you that this is top 1% of the top 1% when you get to professional athletics. And however competitive you think the money world is, these guys were climbing over the inner cities fighting for dollars to get to where it is that they got. And so he had success. I think he had the toughest job of the three of you, right? Right, Desmond Bryant doing something. He weighed a little more than this. He was a defensive tackle, and that's the roughest job, right? Like that's hurt your body stuff.
Oh yeah, everything.
Not that it was easy for you either, Lamar Houston as a linebacker, but you needed him in order to be able to do the job because he was being eaten by the fat guy. So both of these guys, they're friends. They played with the Oakland Raiders in 2010, I want to say, 2011. And so why don't you tell first, Desmond, why don't you tell the people what it is before we get to Mark over there, the tallest of our friends. He's 7 foot tall, and I didn't mean to neglect you just because they play more physical sport than you. We will get to you in a minute.
I didn't have any pass.
Can you just tell the people how it is that you transition, what it is you transitioned into within tech and within real estate?
Okay, so in my final few years of playing, I started investing with a few guys I went to college with. Acquisition rehab deals. That went on for about 5 years until I actually moved to now we are acquisition on land or again on apartment buildings. We're moving into co-living now. It's a new trend in affordable housing in still advantageous areas. Outside of that, Lamar and I started Leap Ventures, which is access community in the investment world as you might find in the basketball locker room. So Lamar and I set out to kind of create that for retired players and ongoing players.
Forgive me, I erred there. I make a lot of mistakes. Miguel, I couldn't see you behind him, and so I forgot to tell people. You don't cruise 500 startups. Real quick before we go any further, can you tell people, the ignorant like me, what that is, what it is that you believe in, why it is we're here today?
Sure. So 500 Startups, we're a global VC firm. We're based out of, well, headquarters is based out of San Francisco. I was just there for 2 weeks over the last couple of weeks. Very, very little. We've made investments in about 2,475 different countries around the world. Placements about $150,000. And the whole goal is that we make the investment, accelerate the startups, help them grow, and then, 10, 15 years down the line, we make the nice return for us and our investors.
We will talk to you in a second about what it is that's going on in Florida Tech, because I don't associate our state with tech, so perhaps you can enlighten me. But Lamar, can you explain to the people, because it's almost an athletic cliche to squander your money, to think you're going to be youthful forever, to think you're going to be bulletproof, because you look at where your success. How did you know better along the path?
Good finance and small business, so I took those opportunities to educate myself and myself in retirement, looking at achieving more like venture capitalism. So as a young player, I signed up for several continuing education courses through school here in Miami as well.
And you've got all sorts of people coming to you all the time with some cockamamie business idea, wanting some, oh, look at that, you recognize that. So because they see some money, they smell some money, but before we get to Mark here, in your case, you were a second round pick. A high pick, but then they got you sort of locked in contractually. You played for 7 years the position. It's a good amount of money, but it ain't rich money, and it ain't gonna last you. If you do not invest it correctly, you will not have it in your 60s.
And that's mainly what our group is aiming to educate players on, is how to grow exponential wealth. The money you make from football is very good money, and unfortunately it's a very short-lived career. So when you retire from football, you got the next 30 years of life ahead of you, and a few $1 million isn't really going to cut it. But when you take the time and you do the due diligence and you go through a process where you can mitigate your risk, investing in the right things and working on people like 500 Startups, it can help you grow.
So here I was mentioning to you that Mark Blount, he played with the Miami Heat. You got a good Pat Riley story for us before we get into the business stuff? Like what did you learn? What did you learn playing? What athletically helped you shape what it is your business philosophy is? You got to be brave. You got to be courageous. But can you explain to people first, before you go down that path, what it is you're doing now and how it is you arrived there?
Oh, so Spirit Capital Group, we're just a complete acquisition of multifamily and hospitality property. So our LLC is pretty much getting the acquisition under contract. If it's a pre-sale development or development deal, we are doing all the rendering, we're doing all the permits, and then we go out and we pitch it to investors. So it's a complete package where it's ready to go and sign and close that title. We just get a yes or no, and then we move it on. And we just keep doing that for each particular property that we look for.
It sounds like it has next to nothing to do with what you learned in your career as an athlete. Like, I don't know, how do you end up there, or what are the things that helped shape athletically what your business?
Well, I was a second round pick as well. Went to Seattle Supersonics. Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Detlef Schrempf was on the team. Was there for 2 weeks, and George Shaw told me there was nothing I could do to help this team. And then I went to tuck my tail, went to Paris for a year, went to Greece for a year, and came back and had an 11-year career. So resilience and working on my craft and being in the real estate sector since 2012. I've worked on my craft, and that's where my sphere is being able to offer this kind of opportunity to investors and family offices and opportunities on that level.
How did you two decide the field that you were going to try? Like when you're thinking yourself after your career and you're talking about how are we going to make money after this? Like what are the choices and how did you arrive where you arrived with Roman Desmond first?
While we're playing, like you said, there's plenty of people coming. Oh, here's a deal, and you don't really know as a player which deals are the ones you want to get into. And so,
What's the worst one you got off? What's the like I would go floating furniture? That might help us. You had all three of them. I want to hear all three of you giving that story. Like the worst business proposition you had coming your way.
the worst one. Some players have developed what we call the shower pill. So after practice, whoever didn't take the shower, you said, oh, they took a shower pill. So some players had developed a towel with some kind of water and some kind of soap that was what you're supposed to use that, and then substitute the shower.
Only bad and unhygienic. Can you top it?
I don't know. I think I just heard a flat out scam. Someone was like, "Oh, I take numbers, like people's credit card numbers or something, or EBTs, and like use it at a grocery store."
That's a crime. You were laughing hardest though, because no, Mark, you got offered some bad stuff. It sounds like.
No, I don't think it was bad. It was just more of my ego got in the way on this one. So I was with Focus brand out of Atlanta, and they owned franchises. I was already in the franchise. I had 2 ADNs and 2 Cinnabons, so I was running those very successful. And corporate came to me and asked me, well, we have an additional one not far from you, and you're doing so well with those. Why don't you take that one? I'm like, of course I can turn that around, and I didn't.
How did you arrive at tech? How did you arrive at real estate versus all the other things you could have chosen?
Right. Again, we just saw that there's no real way there's no real way for us to discern which avenues are the best ones to go down. And so that's why Lamar and I started Lead Ventures to promote the education into tech. There was no real, we were out in the bed. We never met any of the people in Silicon Valley. We never really.
Those are very different worlds. Those are the locker room. Right. Those are very different worlds.
And so we never established those relationships, and we feel like there should be that connection there. So that's why we chose to do it.
Did you run into anything, Lamar, underestimated because you're athletes and you're walking into a tech world, and both worlds are filled with piranha?
Yeah, it's a very risky industry. I think the most challenging thing for us is just understanding, what deals fit our strategy and fit into our strategy. But right now we're very young into this and we're developing. So our challenges are just first establishing ourselves as a group and making sure we get a little notoriety through our works as investors. But I think, just the number of deals you can see, the amount of money people are asking for is, it's just remarkable. But the challenges of understanding which one of those deals are fitting your strategy, not just because it's a bunch of things you think that are great that you should invest in. So our challenge is basically honing in on our strategy.
I find some of this overwhelming because I'm not financially savvy as to Mark. When you're just talking about going from franchises into what it is that you merged into, how did you make that decision? And was it a safe decision?
That's when I was my first thing. So I was with the franchise and I just got into real estate. I was after 2012 and 2011. So I was doing the franchise, and then I also got into the real estate up in Palm Beach Gardens area where I was at, and I was doing it simultaneously, and then I was able to exit those both on a pretty good terms, except for the one franchise that was all ego, but other than that was great. But I wanted to do a little bit more of the commercial space, bigger units, and some of the 25, 50, 75 key. 25, 75 unit properties. So that's why I started figuring and being able to focus my attention on it. And it wasn't just perfect at the beginning. I was just all over the map. And then, just as I kept working on it, that's why I was able to get it over the last couple of years to where I'm offering a great service to,
investor, instead of doing all the legwork, have done all the legwork, have done everything you needed. All you're doing is looking at everything right in front of you. Yes or no, that's it.
Miguel, I don't think of Florida, am I being an idiot? I don't think of Florida as a tech place. And so when I heard that you guys were coming in here, I didn't even understand the link. Am I that ill-informed, or is it changing?
No, I mean, first off, and this is my personal opinion, I personally don't think that any company is a tech company. Like, that just doesn't make sense anymore. You are a company, and you either use technology to advance and move faster, or you don't, right? And if you do, the chances of scaling is much easier, right? There's better profit margins, et cetera. So 500 startups, we make investments in tech-enabled companies, but what has differentiated us from all of our peers, especially when we were founded 10 years ago, is that we went outside of Silicon Valley first. Everyone said, oh, if you want to receive an investment from us, you have to come into San Francisco. We were the first ones that said, no, actually, we'll come to you and we'll make something happen. In Florida, we've seen two things. We've seen building blocks. We've seen smart people with good backgrounds from college to career paths. And then we've also seen a connection to Latin America. So it's a spot that for us makes sense to have a strategic position where we can look south and look here. To answer your question specifically, from what we've seen, we have trained, I'm doing mental math, about 120 startups over the past 18 months through 2-day boot camps, and another 19 through 2 8-week accelerator programs. The startups that have gone through all those programs, just the ones based in Miami alone, have gone on to raise a little over $16 million. And these are startups, excuse me, that are just beyond product market fit, right? Just barely getting past that. So what they've done after after working with us, but also them themselves, they've gone out and grown by themselves. So for us, talent's everywhere. It's just a matter of how do we provide resources to them. And yeah, we've been finding that talent here. We want a piece of that talent, meaning we want to make more investments in these startups because it's good for us. So yes, it is. It's got what's necessary.
Were you guys in the locker room discussing this stuff before it ended? Like, were you guys discussing how before the professional careers ended, like that we need to plan for the next 20 years and the proximity to Silicon Valley? Did that actually, if you guys hadn't been in Oakland, might you have chosen a different path, or did you know exactly what you were choosing because of your regional specificity?
That's an important. I think if we were not in Oakland, we might have chosen that path. Fortunately, the way we became friends is we are always discussing the future of after football, what we like to do. We want to own companies, we want to make more money. We want this to be the foundation of life that we build on. And being there, you get a lot of great opportunities. We ran into a guy named Ryan Neese, who takes you on a tour of all the major capital companies, and you get to sit down and listen to them, listen to their stories of how they became who they are now. So that sparked our interest in the field, and then we've kind of always stayed in contact and always kind of kept an entrepreneurial mindset about what we wanted to do in life. And we took another program in Boston recently called Drive, that's held by DraftKings, where they talk about venture capital, angel investing, and things like that. And we basically sat down and was like, we have this idea to develop a platform for players that we can push in an industry where there's going to talk about debt prevention and conventional investing. And we can show this avenue of venture capitalism to players, not only introduce it to them, but educate them about it. And that's basically how we built the nucleus of our group.
Mark, is there anything along before when you were playing basketball, were you thinking of any of this stuff? Were you thinking of the mortality of like, look, this is only going to last so long? Because I'm telling you, I run into young guys all the time. Once you've arrived in professional sports, it's a finish line, it's a destination for all the work, and you feel like you've got it figured out. You're dumb, you're youthful, you don't have the wisdom of experience. Right. And the next thing you know, your career's over in 6 or 7 years, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought this was going to keep going. When did you start thinking about, I need to do this stuff right, and I need to do it big, because you're not doing it bashfully?
Right. So I knew I wanted to be in the RE space, the real estate space, and so probably like my 4th or 5th year the league, I started coming back and just learning through a couple of commercial developers and I was in Palm Beach County at that time, so working with them and just having lunches and dinner, every off season, just coming back and just networking and starting to learn the space. I mean, there's so much to learn from just contractual to dealing with facilities and all this stuff. So once I started getting the information, over the years before I retired, now it's like, okay, what kind of plan do I want to put together? It's still all over the map, and then as you start digging down and digging deep into objective for your business, and then you can start focusing it. But yes, it was a goal, it was a plan. It took a while, it took several years to bring it under focus because we're still playing. We're still working out. We still got family. We still got opportunities. Still got the team demanding for us. So it's just for us it just took a little bit while longer to just get that objective under control for the company.
What were the mistakes, Desmond, that you guys made earlier? The things you know now that you didn't know back when there's a learning curve on any of this stuff.
Mhm.
And so, like, what was some of the stuff early on that you didn't know, or if you preferred another way, what were some of the things you wish you'd known back then that you know now?
Right. When we first got introduced to the VC world, everybody's talking about the numbers that have been seen in VC over the last 10 years, drastically outpacing all of the markets really. And so Lamar and I are like, okay, well, we're going to get in and we're going to get into, late stage companies and we're going to write them 5,000 checks and we're going to get, 100x on the money, we're going to make so much money. And, we realized over time, with mistakes we made, that, that's not really how this works, more often than not, these companies fail. And the only way for us to be able to maintain that same kind of check size is through investing in earlier stage, but more risky companies. But again, if we're looking to hit these home runs, if you will, that's kind of where we have to transition to our business strategy.
Or would your answer be the same?
Well, it's similar, yeah, because we had to figure out, like I said earlier, how we hone in on our strategy when it comes to investing. We thought, maybe earlier we could try to get a quicker return on some of the investment, but we figured out that we had to start from the startup stage to actually get a good piece of equity in the company and have a nice return and take it for 10 years instead of the time. So basically, we really had to hone in on our strategy and really break it down so that we stick to it and are able to use it and apply it when we invest and not go at a pace without being the quickest.
Okay, gotta be patient. Markets, usually people don't tend to be very patient with their money at a youthful age. How would you answer that question?
So when I started back in 2012, I did the acquisition side with my former company up in the Palm Beach Gardens area. So I said, oh, well, I'll do the property management company too. So I'll go to the property management company and I'll do the acquisition. Property management, I'm rolling. Until they started calling me and then the air conditioner's not working and I gotta go put a battery in there and then I'm on the ground and running around and and all this stuff. So you're definitely working both ends of it. So that was a little bit of shell shock. Just like first of all, they're like, I'm knocking on the door and it's like, did you put a battery in there? Thermostat? Okay, have a good night. So that was
I'm wondering, Desmond, and this might be a dumb question, athletics is more competitive than business, correct? By leaps and bounds? Like, I understand that people think on Wall Street or Silicon Valley, fighting for dollars is super competitive, and it is, but it ain't like athletics competitive, is it?
If you want to compare it to game day,
What you do is crazy. What you did for a career, the two of you, all of you have to stand on the side. I'm standing there with Ricky Williams, who's pretty rugged on the side of the thing. What was I doing? Like, why did I do this for a living? It's crazy out there.
Yeah, if you compare it to on the field, in the game, in the trenches in particular, taking on a double team, yes, there's nothing like that in the world. But obviously, business world is extremely competitive as well. With all the money that's out there and all the money that's to be made, it's just as cutthroat. But I don't know if we can really compare
Yeah,
it.
but if you were advising the average person, you would, if you were giving advice to a youngster, you would say choose the business path, not the athletics path, no?
For me, I always wanted to do both. I always wanted to do both. I know that
It's so hard to do both because, I mean, to get to where you guys are, it's a sculpting of a craft. You can't have real time to get expertise in somewhere else. When Pat Riley's chasing your ass all over the place, making you do suicides, there's no time
Throw
for
the
that.
balls across court, tell everybody down.
It's a very challenging. I think the business world is competitive. And I said, this is why I like doing venture capitalism, because I think it's the only industry that's compared to football. You know, you gotta do a lot of analyzing, you have to understand your companies, just like you have to understand your opponents. You have to see what they do well, how they perform, where they don't perform well. So it's kind of a similar approach when you're studying the company you want to invest in, venture capitalism. You have to do a lot of due diligence. You have to have a great team that can do a lot of great things. So for me, it's just as competitive, different type of competition because we're not registered.
Right. If I would ask you guys though to impart some piece of wisdom or some piece of advice, we'll start with you, Mark, and bring it back this way, where you'd tell a young investor, look, this is something that you need to know. This is something that's important. Do you have one piece of advice beyond all others that you would give to a youngster?
I would be able to map out early where you see that you want to take your goals and take your future endeavors, and be able to focus on not only like just the goals driven, but what opportunities to be successful and have a great opportunity or a great service in that sector that you're in. So be able to drill down to that specific detail. I think that that will help them focus and just tunnel it down.
How about you, Lamar?
You know, I think that the most important advice I can give is try to learn how to continually educate yourself. Find a way to understand and digest more information. The more information you can gather, the more you can understand, the better you'll be informed and making decisions.
How about you, Desmond?
just that investments are inherently risky. Before you think about any investment, you have to be prepared to not get that money back. And in order to kind of mitigate that risk, you have to have this strong team in place that knows what they're doing, that knows whatever sector or industry that you're trying to invest in, and that they can really give you correct information about whether or not this is a good investment. They do the proper diligence and kind of make sure you know what you're getting yourself into.
How about you, Miguel? You got any advice? You got any advice for people in this room about what it is that they need to be doing with their money?
I think advice with money, no, the SEC does not allow me to give that advice.
Now I'm asking you.
I think, Lamar, you mentioned a really good point, and it's all about educating yourself, right? For example, for me, the very first time that I ever sat in a room and looked at startups and picked the right ones, there's plenty of things that I got right, and there's plenty of more things that I got wrong. And what I had was a really good boss that said, everyone goes through this. This is something that everyone deals with, and the way that you get better at this is you just keep doing it over and over and over again. So to your point, Dan, like having the time to do it while you're a professional athlete is, I can imagine, very difficult to do. But educating yourself, learning more about the types of investments that you want to do, that's really what's going to send you a long way.
I don't have all the questions and curiosities, so if there's anyone in the audience, if there's anything that you'd like to cover with any of the gentlemen, feel free to let me know. If anyone else has any other questions and would like to get involved in this, you got Desmond, Lamar, and Mark, we go.
Okay, for all of you guys, I'm here in San I'm originally from Chicago, and I created for a while ago that basically focused on sort of putting the platform together so that when people come to you, they have their, I guess, stories together to be able to collect. But I guess, how do you go about identifying individuals on your respective teams? I mean, obviously coming from athletic backgrounds, don't necessarily have the insights to understand. So, like, how do you go about putting your teams together and decide, like Desmond said, figuring out, analyzing different types of opportunities that come away, whether you like it or not? How do you go about putting that team together?
So
I really passed the ball.
it's really just a matter of learning from individuals that have done it before. first and foremost. And then it's coming up, so at 500, we have a system that we use to select startups, and we're never satisfied with that system. We run it, we see how we did, we figure out what we did wrong, and then we correct that for next time. And we're constantly iterating and constantly making it better. Right before this meeting, I came off of the task force, but that's exactly what we were looking at. So it's never being satisfied and always wanting to do more. That's from kind of like an internal perspective, and then actually doing it yourself. It's meeting as many startups as possible and like trying to pick up the trends at 500 when we make investments. A good idea is important. Making money is important. Don't get me wrong. But more than anything else, it's the people. We make investments at such an early stage. We are investing in the people because it's such early companies. If you have a bad vibe about the person, it's probably better that you don't make that investment. So that's my advice.
For me, it's my two lead counsels. One gentleman is 71 years old, and the other guy is 62 years old. So they've been here longer before me, and one of the gentlemen is in banking. He's in banking. One of them was in real estate. So I lean on them. I lean on them when we're about to go to contract, or about to put a project together, and we're doing it over 8 years now, and referring to them for this time. I don't need to lean on them that much, so if I do need something, it's still there. So having you were saying, Jimmy Gill.
It's okay, we've got so many Miguels in my area.
But just having the history and having the information, doing it again.
How about you?
Unfortunately, I've always been around very smart people somehow. But I built my team mainly around the institution of Morgan Stanley Bank. So we have a team house there that helps us do all our back office stuff. And then our due diligence team is ran by experienced investment banking employees that came from JP Morgan. Sorry, excuse me. So basically,
Those portfolios get you choked up sometimes.
we basically lean on them, and they're all very expertise in the IB banking side of things.
How about you, Desmond? Similar?
Yeah, let me ask you real quick. Were you referring to the other athletes that we're bringing on to our platform, or the team, the structural team that we have in place?
The folks that you're using to make your decision. Like if I came to you right now and said I need $2 million,
How does
how do you go like evaluating that? You just like people, I can figure out how to find them.
Gotcha. So there are individuals, like a financial advisor, and people that work for him, that's their job. Okay, you come to me with something, and if I like it enough, then I send it to them, and they overlook it. Other than that, I would also lean on, people around me, have friends in all the different industries. Particularly if you're talking about something in real estate, I've been working with these guys for 6-7 years. Anything real estate related, I'm ready to buy them. I'm leaning on all the individuals around me, but I also have, structurally a team that's in place that is there for anything I need.
anyone else want to get in here?
So, can you draw on some characteristics from the winning sort of athlete that have been consistent winners in terms of what you back? I'd be curious from the sports side, but then Miguel from the principal side, if there are certain things that are quasi-athletic type skills, whether it's teamwork or whether it's just this courageousness, but it could be something really quirky. I'm curious from that.
Who wants to attack that one?
Well, for me, it's, I got to know everybody's job. So, if I'm asking for something and I don't already know it, but don't have it, I'm just like, what are you doing? So for me, I look at it on that end. So yes, it's teamwork, but then you still got to know.
Anybody else want to crack at that? Or?
For me, it's just being persistent and knowing how to work hard in the right way. So, when you're an athlete, a lot of people say you can do a lot of hard work, or you can work hard in the right way. Like you can just be out running lines, or you can actually be out running routes. So I take the same approach to business where I work hard, but I try to work hard in an appropriate Well, like Miguel says, when we first started startups, we really look at the people before we further to take it to our team. We look at the people, we look at the product, and we gauge off our interest. So if there's something we're interested in, then we do a deeper dive, and we want to look at your numbers, we want to look at your investor base and all those things. But as to start off, we just specifically look ourselves and see if it's going to fits our strategy.
How do you know it's a good idea? What's that?
I mean, nobody's the smartest person in the world. I mean, for example, before I did this, when I was playing, a couple had approached me and they were offering me to invest in Wolf and Shepherd. I don't know if you've heard about Wolf and Shepherd. It's a nice dress shoe that has like an athletic sole. And, now they have Kobe, rest in peace. They have Steve Nash and a lot of people involved in it. And the other day I just seen they had a store at the Beverly Center in LA, and I was like, wow, this is the one idea I thought was a terrible idea. A great idea. But that started off with me looking at the team, and I didn't really like it, so I didn't take it so further.
From our perspective, at the very early stage, when they're just starting to now make money, we want to look at the product, and then we want to see are you actually making money, what's your clientele look like, and so once it gets beyond that, then we really dive into the person, because that's typically for our accelerators and our investments. Like, you can very quickly get that out of the way, basically. And I mean, again, we really dive into the people, and what comes with experience over years of doing this is you find out how to ask specific questions, or you find out how to extract information, not necessarily about the company, but about themselves. That helps you determine if it's a good investment.
Raise funds, or are you primarily operating as angel investors using capital that you've accumulated yourself?
Currently, yes, we're just angel investing with capital that we've accumulated, but our platform is we're also like doing the same. We're doing all the due diligence, figuring out whatever projects we want to get involved in, and then we're bringing it to our friends in the athletic world, and so giving them that opportunity at no cost. Eventually, we do intend to raise a fund, but right now we're just building our brand recognition.
We're syndicate based.
Depends on the project. Some of the investors might want to put skin in the game as well. Or we can do first UCC on it, or we can do shares of the entity or whatever it's under. So depends on what could be a multi-family or could be a hospitality. Depends on the project.
So you guys came to business together, like somehow somebody came to you with an idea and you decided to do it. So in the NFL, NBA, baseball, anything where you look at over 50% of the athletes don't know how to manage their money, right? And then there's people now that are trying to build certain avenues or lanes for them to be able to be educated and to start early before they retire or before they get injured. What advice or what do you think you can tell athletes? I've been around athletes my whole life. I ran multiple health clubs for over 15 years before I got cancer. So I ended up learning a lot about what they did. Now, the people that I met were at the top level. But with you guys now partnering, how do we make it a fun way, make it an educated way? And you're on the other side trying to teach, right? You're trying to help to get maybe a program, or maybe there is a program I don't know about it.
And that's
I would love to learn about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I came to do this with you guys.
Well, that's basically what we're aiming at doing. We're aiming at putting together workshops where we can introduce material to players that's digestible for them to understand and retain. And so we're trying to build programs and working with different companies and people like partner startups to help us educate these players in the space of venture capitalism. But first and foremost, so financial literacy is something that you should always be trying to work on and better. So a lot of NFL players don't come from a background where there's a lot of financial literacy. So I would, preview them before coming and doing what we're doing on financial literacy. And we actually, my friend does financial wellness. So there are people we know who do that, but we're specifically in the industry of capitalism. But our whole idea is to put together education workshops that players can take and understand.
If you said this, and a lot of people know, the NFL does provide
guys are my NFL getting your pocket right now in financing, so.
Yeah.
I'm have a lot of funding for that.
They do, and they pay for your education. I'm currently applying for my scholarship to obtain my MBA from school, which will be paid for by different NFL programs. And what the problem is for the NFL programs is a lot of players don't know about them, and then they don't know how to tap into them. So they don't, like I said earlier, seek that extra education, further educating themselves, and they don't find themselves consuming information that will lead them in that path. You know, most of them go on and not even know about these different programs that they can do with continued education.
Last one.
I have a question.
Yeah. Just a quick one. My name is Matt Walter, and I'm with the Canadian Consulate here in Miami, and I work with the Innovation and Technology portfolio. I wanted to ask a little bit, we go down at 500 startups and from you guys too. Where do you suggest that people locate their investments, and what are your reasoning, points behind it? I think a lot of people here, there's a broad, selection of what you guys invest in different things, but how do you select that, and what do you advise people on what not their money, but it's where they should invest, and what they should do? Tertiary markets, secondary, primary.
Yeah, so again, it's difficult. I can't really comment on that specifically. I can say we're 500 and we're what we look for, and that is we look for early stage startups that have the most potential to reach exponential growth. We're also understanding patient gain. 500 has 16 right now, $1 billion. But we've only got 10 of those have come in the last 2 years, and we've been around for 9 years. So this is a long-term play. So you've got to be ready for that. But yeah, we just look for the ones that have the right people at the head.
Were you finding those folks in Silicon Valley, or forcing them through that pipeline?
Actually,
Combinator does, or
more of our unicorns are outside of the United States.
Sorry, just wanted to get that out.
Yeah, just very quickly, 500 startups. I guess it's twofold. I'm Hassan Austin, DDA Plus Collateral Group. 500 startups, you guys, twofold. What's really sort of your draw, your appetite coming into South Florida? And, to your point about you look at the people, which is very interesting because a lot of firms that's not really part of the calculus. But my question is, how do you look at the deployment of capital, and what strategies do you do in terms of deploying capital, guarding against risk in the marketplace? Yeah, to answer your first one, is why we came to South Florida is we believe that there's building blocks here where we can help grow an ecosystem. Obviously, we want to make good investments, but we also want to grow ecosystems because we believe that's a flywheel that supports all parties involved. So that's the answer to one. Number two, in terms of the deployment of capital, when we make investments around the world, I kind of briefed earlier about what it is that we look for in folks. Regarding your question, if you're asking how the startups use their capital once they receive it, through an accelerator, and then we take this back and let the startup go.
Also invest in it. My question in general is beyond growing money, what is your goal in terms of the impact that you create with your investments in terms of social change, which is the true capital that you bring with all your achievements to society?
So I guess I'll start. So when I say affordable housing, I don't have a government assisted affordable housing. Well, we did that in the past, but now what we're doing is co-living, which it's kind of hard to explain. So a traditional 2-bedroom apartment might cost $2,000 a month. What we're doing is we're converting it into a 3-bedroom apartment where $800 each tenant. So they get to live there for cheaper than they would have lived next door. But we're also bringing more value to the investors, bringing their profits up about 20%. Outside of that, Bryant Family Foundation that does athletics and educational programming around academics.
She wants to know what you guys are doing with the money other than things for the people around you. I know market in that.
Well, I don't think it needs to be one side of town or anything. I think that you know we can go to and do affordable housing, but why don't we just town right here on this game and then use the public benefit and build it to 60, 70 floors? Why can't those affordable people be in that kind of high-end buildings where we already, I mean, the public benefits there, give them 2, 3 floors, right? You know, so, I mean, they don't have to be redirected. The development is already there. The numbers are there. You're already going to give them a police station in there on the part of the public benefit. So give the affordable housing 3 floors. What's 3 floors out of 58?
You guys are good at making money or turning it into more money. Do you have a story like Mark Cuban? Any of you have a story? Mark Cuban, I think, was able to, or was offered to get in for $1 million on Uber. He did not. Do you guys have any great story like that? Of not a spectacular success, we've been celebrating your achievement, but just like a colossal error. Just like someplace where you were just.
You know you can come back anytime you want.
I think I missed out on the Wolf and Shepherd deal. It was a fairly low investment. I should have did it. It came from one of my business mentors who's on the board of the investment group at Notre Dame, and he's also in a very popular investment group in the area called the Band of 300, or Band of Angels. Everybody knows that who that is. He was kind of offering it to me because I was the expertise in athletes, and I should have taken the deal. Why? I don't know. I didn't. I just wasn't impressed enough, but I think that company is doing more than probably like 10 or 20 million now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
One moment, we'll be having a reception right up front.